Hi, this is Lee Ambergy, stampwithlee.com. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Mentor, Ohio, and thank you for joining me for today's video featuring our Weeby Stamping Team Blog Hop Creative Backgrounds. So what I'm going to be sharing with you today is the background for this card, and I saw a card that had this background on it, and it was another Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I did not write her name or anything down, but she had stated that she had made her background using our gilded leafing with our multi-purpose liquid glue. Now, I have only used this product with our heat and stick powder, so I was intrigued. And I was like, oh, I gotta try this. So anyway, if you're not familiar with our gilded leafing, that is on page 141 in the annual catalog, and that's this right here. And like I said, it comes in this container, and my suggestion is, if you have never used this product before, open it up and put it, yeah, I know, in this great big container. Because just a little FYI, this grows and expands. And if you go to use this and you're in a room with a ceiling fan, please turn the ceiling fan off and work very slowly with this, because it's almost like it's staticky. And you want to be very, very slow and deliberate with it. Fast movements and this stuff will whoosh everywhere. So what I did with this is she said she used our liquid adhesive, and I'm like, well, okay, let me see if I can figure that out. So this is the card in my background, but I want to show you, number one, how I did this, but then I also want to show you how to use it with heat and stick, the heat and stick powder. So in essence, this is very, very simple. On this card, I did use just plain basic white cardstock, but it became kind of warpy. So I am going to use, I would suggest using the thick basic white. These little cuties here are, and I put these in a bigger container, are iridescent shaker circles. And they're being held in place with a strip of our tearing tape. I used white embossing powder. I stamped in Versamark, and my greeting is from the Share a Milkshake. I thought this was I always liked this greeting in this set. It's just something fun and different. And then I cut that out with our Something Fancy dies. So again, this is just going to be showing you how I did this background using the liquid adhesive, and then also how you can do this background with the heat and stick. And I'm curious to see, because I can't remember, if this is going to look any different. I think it will. Now, I was playing around and did this on black cardstock. And then I used on here, I thought, well, let me try the loose silver sequins. And that was not good, because these are much larger and they're in different size. And if they didn't stick, there was a bare spot, then, you know, I was trying to piece the sequins on, and this is going to go in the garbage, because if I make a card with this and I put it in an envelope, the envelope's going to stick, and then the card's going to get ripped and torn. So yes, so this is just to show you. I was curious to see what this would look like on black cardstock. And it is pretty, but I will not use those sequins. All right, so here we go. I have my thick basic white, and then what I did was I have a sponge. I have our liquid adhesive, and these are just in, I ordered these bottles, very fine tip. And for this, you really don't need it. But I am just going to start with, and I'm just scribbling some liquid adhesive on there. I've got this sponge, And I'm just going to kind of pound sand, move this, however. Just kind of like smear this into my cardstock. Then I'm going to very carefully remove this lid and put this on here. And you just, I don't know if you can start to see how it's wanting to just fly around. And just kind of rubbing this in. And then you can use your fingers. This is like a little stencil brush to get your excess off. I find, and each of these is going to give you a different look. But I sort of, I thought I had another sponge here. And I probably do, I just probably can't see it. I want to make sure I get this covered really well. And if you find after you're all done, you want to run your finger back over this, because if you find any of this tacky, you need to add more. Here it is. You need to this is not my glue sponge. You need to add more leafing, because again, if there's a tacky spot on here, your card will end up sticking to your envelope, the inside of your envelope. So I am just getting this off. Okay, this still feels a little tacky, a little sticky. I'm gonna put some more on there, rub it off. And I've noticed that every time you do this, even though you're doing the same like technique for your background, it's the same process, it's always going to look different. Just by how the liquid adhesive gets on there, it's just really not going to be the same. Making sure that nothing feels tacky. Okay. And you know how when you use embossing powder and you flick it over, and don't do that. Don't do that. Don't breathe heavy over this. Don't sneeze over this. Don't sneeze over this. And those of you that have used this before and you've experienced that, you're going, oh yeah, she's right. Okay, I'm done with the sponge, and then I'm now just going to take this brush and just clean over it. Okay, now I am going to show you, and I'm going to put the lid on this slowly. Okay, set this aside. Show you how you would do this with Versamark and Heat and Stick. So here's my thick. That was, I don't know. Oh, that's for the inside of the card. And I'm going to bring in just a scrap piece of paper. So to do this with the Versamark and how you would use it with Heat and Stick, I'm not really sure how to get this on here other than just to, because I need Versamark ink on here, and I'm really not sure how, this is going to turn out. You have a little bit more control when you have the liquid adhesive. So now I'm kind of getting it. Then what you do is, I've got my Heat and Stick powder. So I'm going to put that on here. Okay, and I think you can see, well, that's a pretty good amount on there. Close that up. And then it's going to be loud, it's going to be noisy, because I'm going to be using my heat tool. But you always want to warm up your heat tool, let that get nice and hot. And on this Heat and Stick powder, you only want to heat that until it starts to turn shiny. And I think, yep. I think I might have overheated this, but we'll find out. I usually put this right underneath my light, and I didn't. So, and when I do this, whoa, I just usually stick it in here. And we'll see if I overheated this or not. I'm going to scrape as much as I can off with my finger. And again, you can use a brush. You can see where I stuck my finger, there's none there. And then I think I kind of prefer sponge. It just seems to really do a good job of getting all of the flyaways off of there. All right, I can already start to see the difference between using the liquid adhesive and the heat and stick. And I did not get this one side sticky. So a lot of this is just peeling off, but that's okay. All right, so we are done with this, but I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you the difference. Let me get a microfiber towel to just sort of brush a lot of this off. Get that out of the way. Alrighty, so here, now I can see the difference. Like I said, I was curious about it. This was the heat and stick powder, and you can tell this is really shiny. This is like really gold. With the liquid adhesive, it gives this more of, I don't know, a matte type finish to it. It's not as shiny. I mean, this I could see where someone might at a first glance be able to confuse this with it being gold embossing powder. But I see now that's the difference. So that's what I wanted to show you, that you can do both. And this is what it's going to be. But to get my little sequins on here, I have my tear and tape. And I'm just wherever I think I want this. Do I want it this way? Do I want it this way? I think I'm going to do it this way. And I'm trying to see where my grid lines are under here to maybe go straight. And yes, I'm going to leave just a little bit off. And then I'm going to turn this over and trim it. I was afraid I wouldn't be able to do that if I tried to put it right to the edge. And there we go, trim it. I can get that off my finger. And then I'm going to just take my bone folder and just burnish this tape to make sure that I have it down. And now I'm going to peel this off. So now when I go to, let me close up my glue. I go to put my little, excuse me, iridescent sequins down. I found out the hard way. Don't just take these and dip this in here or pour them on there. Because then some of them stand straight up. They're circles. And some stand straight up. And it was really hard to get this off and to get them, to lay down. So trial and error. That's how you figure some of this stuff out. So see how you can see how they're standing straight up. So my suggestion would be to, just with your finger, put some down and then try to make sure you've got them, that they're laying down. yeah, don't just dump all of these. You sort of sprinkle them on. And again, you want to make sure that you get all of that tear and tape covered. And this is not something that's, this is, I think, really pretty. But if you're in a super hurry, I would suggest save this for another day because you will need to spend some time with getting your little iridescent circles on here. I mean, you do have to kind of keep checking to see where is there a bare spot, where is it tacky. You know, how do I get these to move around? And you just kind of have to keep playing with it section by section. And yes, there are going to be some that just sort of hang on there where there is no tear and tape, but they do come off. You just have to take your finger and scrape them off. But this is a really neat background. And I am still trying to decide, geez, do I like this leafing using the liquid adhesive, or do I like it with the heat and stick powder? I mean, which do I like the best? And I have to say, I'm having a hard time deciding because I really like them both, because you get a completely different look with each one. Like I said, this is more muted, more of a subtle look with the leafing, versus the heat and stick powder is a little bit more, I don't know, shiny, rich, maybe. And you do have more, I think you can achieve more texture with that. So this is what, I mean, these sequins, I think it took me like 10 minutes to actually make sure I had any tacky area covered. So this is how I'm going to try to get these off of my finger. I maybe should have like put the embossing buddy on my fingers before I started this. Okay, I've got some strays. Let me just shove those in this container. So yeah, that is really what I wanted to show you was the technique. And then, I mean, this was just mounted onto basic black cardstock. And my greeting, like I said, was stamped with Versamark. I used white embossing powder, and I popped it up with black dimensionals. So that is my creative background. So now I've got 2 more cards I get to make. So I hope you have enjoyed my creative background, and continue along with the rest of the blog hop and see what else my team has for you. I'm sure you're going to be surprised and enjoy it. Have a wonderful day. Bye.